This shrimp and this shrimp are the same species, but one is worth about 10 times more than the other. Why? It all comes down to one thing: how red they look. Today, I'll break down every major grade of red cherry shrimp, from cherry to painted fire red, and show you exactly what separates them. I'll even clear up the confusion about Bloody Mary shrimp. By the end, you'll know how to instantly identify grades, understand their value, and choose the right shrimp for your tank. Let's dive right in. The cherry grade is the starting point for red cherry shrimp, and it's also the lowest grade when it comes to color. These shrimp are mostly translucent with only modest red spotting across your bodies. Instead of a solid coat, the red shows up as tiny freckles or a light dusting, giving them almost a pixelated look when you see them up close. Large portions of their shell, especially their tail, lower abdomen, and legs, are completely clear. Males in particular are almost glass-like, sometimes showing only a few faint red dots. Females tend to display a bit more color, occasionally with a faint reddish saddle or a thin line running along the back, but overall the red is weak, patchy, and uneven. Because the exoskeleton is so transparent, it's easy to see the internal organs. On females, you can even spot the saddle of eggs through the carapace. Red pigment coverage is minimal, and the legs and head usually lack color entirely, which makes the few red specks stand out even more against an otherwise invisible shrimp. Cherry grade shrimp are extremely common and affordable, usually the cheapest red shrimp you can find, often selling for just $1 to $2 each. Beginners love them because they're affordable and easy to keep, making them a great way to test the waters when starting out in shrimp keeping. But seasoned shrimp keepers tend to find them less exciting to look at, so they fetch the lowest prices and are often sold or traded in bulk. Breeders, however, can improve the color of the cherry grade through selective breeding and culling, keeping only the reddest individuals for reproduction while removing the lower quality ones. Over successive generations, this method can upgrade a low cherry grade colony into a brighter, low Sakura grade colony. The low Sakura grade is the next level above the ordinary cherry grade. Sometimes you'll see them simply sold as Sakura red cherry shrimp because many sellers lump both low and high Sakura grades together. I'll cover the high Sakura grade in just a moment, but let's first look at what makes the low Sakura grade distinct. Compared to the cherry grade, this grade shows a noticeably richer red coloration and much more even coverage. Instead of random freckles, you'll see large patches of red covering about half to 2/3 of the body. The color itself is darker and stronger than the cherry grade, but it's still not completely solid. Clear patches remain, especially on the underside and tail where the red breaks or fades. The shell is still translucent, so you can often see the saddle of eggs on a female if you look closely. The legs are another giveaway. At this stage, they're mostly transparent with only faint streaks or spots of red. Think of a low Sakura as a shrimp wearing a red coat that covers about 2/3 of its body, while the rest, especially the belly, legs, and tail tip, remain see-through. In terms of value, this grade of shrimp are moderately priced, usually around $2 to $3 each. That's more than double the price of the ordinary cherry shrimp, but still very affordable. They're popular with aquarists who want more vibrant shrimp without paying premium prices, offering a noticeable upgrade over the cherry grade. Beginners stepping up from the cherry grade colonies often choose the Sakura grade for their brighter display, while experienced shrimp keepers might keep them in community tanks where top-tier shrimp are necessary. Breeders achieve the low Sakura grade by refining cherry grade colonies through selective breeding and constant culling. Any shrimp with large clear patches are culled, with only those with deeper, more even red are allowed to breed. Over successive generations, this process gradually strengthens the line, and with enough refinement, the colony can be pushed toward the brighter, more complete coverage we see in the high Sakura grade. The high Sakura grade is the refined version of the low Sakura, where the color comes close to full coverage, but doesn't quite get there. As I mentioned earlier, some sellers lump both Sakura grades together, but separating them really highlights the quality gap between a decent red shrimp and an exceptional one. Compared to low Sakura, these shrimp display a much deeper, more saturated red. Their coverage is nearly complete, with only small translucent spots remaining. Sometimes you'll notice a faint orange tint in the thickest parts of the shell or at the very tip of the tail, but to most people, the body looks solid red. A key way to recognize high Sakura shrimp is by checking the legs. Unlike low Sakura shrimp, where the legs are mostly clear, high Sakura shrimp start showing real red pigmentation on their limbs. The color may still be blotchy or not quite as bold as the body, but it's clearly there, and that's an important marker of quality. High Sakura shrimp also carry red pigment across nearly their entire body, from the rostrum, their nose, all the way to the tail fan. The few transparent patches that remain are tiny, usually at shell joints or the edges of segments. Females may still reveal their saddle of eggs under strong light, but under normal viewing conditions, they look impressively red. At this stage, even the males finally start to catch up, with some rivaling the coloration of females. That makes sexing shrimp by color alone much more difficult. In terms of value, high Sakura shrimp sit right in the middle. They usually sell for around $3 to $5 each, more expensive than the low Sakura grade but still far cheaper than the fire red or painted fire red grades. They're popular among intermediate keepers who want something truly eye-catching without paying top-tier prices. Breeding high Sakura requires rigorous selection. Breeders set aside only individuals with virtually full red coverage, including colored legs, for the high Sakura breeding tank. Anything less is culled and downgraded to a lower grade group. Over time, this consistency keeps the line strong. And every now and then, a high Sakura female will produce offspring that are fully opaque, essentially reaching the fire red grade, at which point they can be separated and used to establish the next level. The fire red grade is the first true high grade red cherry shrimp, solid, intense, and uniform in color. At this stage, the shrimp look like glowing jewels in the tank, with a deep fire engine red that instantly catches the eye. Unlike the Sakura grades, fire reds have almost no weak spots. Their bodies are evenly saturated from head to tail, and the color is opaque rather than blotchy. Under normal viewing, you won't see any clear patches. Only under a very bright light might you catch a faint shadow of the saddle inside a female. That level of saturation is often described in competitions as having a thick red shell. One of the biggest indicators of fire red quality is the legs. In high Sakura, the leg coloration is blotchy, but in fire reds the legs are fully red, matching the rest of the body. This uniformity is what sets them apart. Even the swimmerettes under the tail are colored, making them look completely solid red in motion. At the highest end of fire red, even the males, normally the lighter sex, can be nearly indistinguishable from females, so an entire colony appears consistently blood red. On the market, fire reds are highly sought after and command a premium price. While cherries may sell for just $1 or $2, fire reds often go for $5 to $7 each, and sometimes even more from selected breeders. That's why they're often called a serious hobbyist shrimp, striking enough for aquascapers who want a vivid display, yet reliably enough to breed true when kept in a pure line. Maintaining fire red quality requires strict breeding practices. Any shrimp that shows even the faintest transparency, whether in the leg joints or a lighter patch on the tail, are culled to a lower grade tank. Breeders will check them under bright light or from multiple angles to catch imperfections, with a special focus on the legs, since those are the hardest part to fully color. And here's where things get exciting. With selective breeding, the most vibrant fire reds can be taken one step higher, ultimately reaching the highest level, the painted fire red grade. The painted fire red grade is the pinnacle of red cherry shrimp, the absolute highest grade you can achieve. These shrimp are so deeply and uniformly colored that they look as if they've been painted solid red. Their red isn't just bright, it's thick, saturated, and completely opaque. Unlike fire reds, where you might still catch a faint shadow of a female saddle under strong lighting, painted fire reds conceal everything. The shell carries so much pigment that it looks dense and glossy, sometimes even verging on a dark maroon tone. Even the tiniest parts, like the base of each antenna, swimmerettes, and tail tips, are red. The body coverage is 100%. There are no clear joints, no translucent leg tips, no faint patches. When they swim, they look like crimson silhouettes moving across the tank. If you compare one side by side with a high Sakura or even a strong fire red, the difference is night and day. In a painted fire red colony, males may still lag slightly behind the females, but even then they're redder than any Sakura or fire red shrimp. Breeders strive for males that at least meet fire red standards so that the colony holds consistent quality. Painted fire reds are among the most expensive and coveted Neocaridina shrimp. They typically sell for about $7 to $10 each, but can go for more depending on the breeder. In competitions, painted fire reds regularly score at the top because they check every box: fully red legs, thick opaque shells, and flawless coverage. Maintaining painted fire reds is a delicate art. Breeders isolate them into closed lines and cull relentlessly. Any shrimp that shows even the slightest transparency is culled and moved down to a fire red tank. At this grade, even subtle checks matter. Breeders may shine strong lights or use macro photography to make sure shells are truly opaque. This is why painted fire reds are considered the gold standard of the red cherry shrimp lineage, the ultimate achievement in color and consistency. Now, before I wrap up, let's clear up one of the biggest points of confusion. Bloody Mary shrimp are not a higher grade of red cherry shrimp. The truth is, Bloody Marys are a completely separate genetic line, developed from the Shoko line, not the red cherry line. The key difference lies in how their color is expressed. Red cherry grades, from cherry to painted fire red, carry pigment in the shell. Bloody Marys, on the other hand, carry their pigment in the tissue beneath the shell. This gives them a darker, glassier, almost wine red look compared to the opaque, paint-like coverage of a painted fire red. Another distinction in cherry-derived grades, males are usually lighter than females, but in Bloody Mary shrimp, males can be just as richly colored as females. That makes a colony look far more uniform. Price-wise, Bloody Mary shrimp usually fall into the same premium range as fire reds and painted fire reds, often $6 to $10 each, depending on the breeder. So while both Bloody Mary and painted fire reds are considered top-tier reds, they're not the same thing. They're two separate branches of Neocaridina, and mixing them can weaken the traits of both lines. And there you have it, the full breakdown of red cherry shrimp grading, from the faintly speckled cherry grade all the way to the flawless painted fire red grade. Hopefully this cleared up the differences and gave you the confidence to spot each grade for yourself. Whether you're just starting with a beginner colony or aiming for the highest quality stock, remember, grading isn't just about labels. It's about enjoying the process, appreciating the colors, and deciding what fits your budget, your tank, and your goals. Just remember, to maintain the grade you have, consistent culling and selection is key, or the line will slip toward lower grades. If you liked this video and found it helpful, check out these videos next if you want to dive deeper into breeding or sexing Neocaridina shrimp. You'll also find my full shrimp food collection linked in the description and pinned comment below. And of course, don't forget to subscribe for more shrimp keeping tips, guides, and advice. I'm Andy. Thanks for watching, and I hope I made shrimp keeping a little easier for you. I'll catch you in the next one.